What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the TNT Smoke Factory. Playoff season is officially here, and it's time that we give you guys our first round predictions for this year's playoffs. We won't go through the whole bracket, but we will dive deep into these first round games, starting with our Friday matchup, Indiana at Notre Dame. A lot of people believe this Indiana team stands no chance going up to South Bend, just up north, to play this Notre Dame team. Not so fast is what I say. I think this Indiana team is very talented.
They are.
I think that Ohio State game, yes, they did get beat pretty bad. I don't know if Notre Dame will be able to do that to Indiana, though. I think this Notre Dame team is very good. They run the ball very well. Yes, Jeremiah Love, we talked about him the other day. He's a very good running back. Indiana's got some dogs on that team, though.
I agree. Indiana, they have the offensive firepower. They really do. But the thing with Indiana, they don't match up defensively with that same firepower.
I agree.
And so you really got to take into consideration, if we go strength on strength, which way does the meter really lean? And it kind of seems that since Indiana has shown themselves to struggle a bit with the run game, the meter might be leaning more toward Notre Dame, since Notre Dame have shown themselves to have a very, very strong offensive running game. And like we always talk about, when you start looking at weather conditions and the passing game has to be put on the back burner a bit. Now you're leaning heavy into that run game. Which team brings the run game that can travel? And it appears that Notre Dame's running game is the one that's going to travel in this weather.
And you mentioned the weather. The game time weather is supposed to be around 27 degrees.
Yeah, cold.
Chances of snow as well. It'll be really interesting. Like you said, though, that run game travels. I think it'll be a little bit too much for this Indiana defense. I think that Notre Dame will be able to control the run game.
Yep.
And then I think Notre Dame's defense will be able to get just a few stops.
Yes.
That can slow down this Indiana team, that when it comes around fourth quarter, we're looking for Indiana to try and fight back instead of it being closer. I think this was a dream season for Indiana. You have to clap it up. This is amazing what Coach Cignetti has done. Really turned around this program, but not yet. I think Notre Dame just presents too much for Indiana. Give me Notre Dame, lower scoring game. I'll take Notre Dame 28-17 to beat Indiana.
Yeah, with the weather conditions, I agree. I think this game is going to go by very fast, because they're going to have to stay on the ground. That clock's going to consistently just keep moving. And I think it'll be a low scoring affair. Neither team hitting 30. I believe that Notre Dame will probably win this game 24-14.
24-14. Okay, so not too far from what I had. Yeah. But to move on to our Saturday games, the SMU Mustangs, coming off that close ACC championship game loss to Clemson, traveling up to Happy Valley to play the Penn State Nittany Lions. We talked about it all season. The drunk Penn State fans, the students, they'll be as drunk as ever for this game, if not blacked out. Yes. There might not be crowd noise because everybody might just be blacked out.
They're going to be blacked out in a whiteout.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. But SMU, we've seen their practice clips. They've been trying to prepare for this Penn State crowd, blasting Mo Bamba at practice, just like it'll be at, up there in Happy Valley.
We saw Penn State give up a ton of yards through the air to that Oregon team. Like you said, some of the Oregon players look like they were on roller skates versus just running. They were flying around the field at a very, very high pace, high clip. And SMU has the type of talent that can do that same thing. The question for SMU is, do you have two things? One, do you have the composure to deal with that whiteout crowd? Because it's going to be something that they've never seen. Welcome to the Big Ten, and what the Big Ten teams have to deal with every time they go to Happy Valley. When you're talking about a whiteout at Happy Valley, you're talking about one of the most intense atmospheres that the Big Ten offers.
I think the entire college football offers.
Yeah, you can argue that, absolutely. I think SMU is going to struggle because of that atmosphere. It's going to throw off their timing, throw off the cadence of that offense, and I think that slowing down that offense is going to be the difference in this game. I'm looking for Penn State to win this game. Now, here's the thing with Penn State. They got to stay with their identity. You run the ball a bit, yes, but you got to get Tyler Warren the ball. If they do that, I think Penn State wins this game handily. But if they go away from getting Tyler Warren the ball on a consistent basis, feeding that machine, then they end up finding themselves in a tight one. But give me Penn State to recognize that, get back to the basics, know their identity, get Tyler Warren the ball. They win this game by double digits.
Now hold on. just listen to me here.
I'm listening.
This SMU team, they're coming in with a chip on their shoulder. Mm-hmm. They have to prove America right, because this is America's team right now. I don't think it's ridiculous to say that. I think a lot of America was behind them. They wanted them to get in over Bama. They have to prove America right and show them why they deserve to be here. This SMU offense is fast.
Yes.
And they present something that Oregon could have gashed Penn State even more on, but they didn't as much, and that's a running quarterback. This quarterback can throw the rock too, but he can run as well. That's going to present a lot of challenges for Penn State. When it comes down to this game, give me Penn State by 3. I think SMU fights. I think they fight till the end. I think this is a close game all the way through. I think Penn State found something on offense. SMU's defense is a little bit more questionable, especially against tougher comp like they did against Clemson. I think Penn State survives, though. Moving on to our 4 o'clock game on Saturday, we have the Clemson Tigers traveling to Texas to take on the Longhorns. This is one of the most interesting playoff matchups I think we've ever had. You've got 2 quarterbacks that played each other in high school.
Yes.
With Cade Klubnik walking away with the championship over Quinn Ewers. I know Ewers has that on his mind. He's probably been watching film from that game. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Clemson, in my opinion, yes, they won the ACC. They really don't have no business being here, though. They're not a great team. You know, they got in. They're not a great team, though. But I think Dabo will know how to control his team. He's been in this situation before.
Yes, he
Dabo,
has.
one of the best coaches in the playoff era. He'll have his team ready to go. I think Clemson, they've got a lot to fight for. You know, prove why they need to be here. Texas coming off an SEC championship loss. It's close. It's close.
So who wins?
In my opinion?
Yes.
Give me Texas. I think Texas is just their DBs. It's what's going to make the difference in this game. Texas probably has the best secondary in college football.
Okay.
That's what's going to make the difference, not only in this game, but in the Arizona State game as well, when they play them. We'll get to that later, when it comes down to it, if Texas gets there. But their DBs are the best in America. They'll start to pull away late, but it'll be close.
Okay. Yeah. I like everything that you said, particularly once you came back in and talked about the defensive backfield for Texas. I got a little worried there initially. I thought you were going to say that Clemson was going to be able to, exert themselves on the offensive end. Here's the thing about Clemson. Clemson has shown themselves to be inconsistent all year, not only game by game, but half by half. They come out, they really establish themselves in the first half, but then they go in the locker room. All of a sudden, whoever came out in the first half, those guys are already on the bus, and we got a new team, a JV team from Clemson that comes in and plays the second half. I think that is their identity. I think that because Clemson has been inconsistent all year, they will remain inconsistent all year. They will continue to be inconsistent, and that is going to cost them in the end. That will be the reason that Clemson loses this game. And I agree with you. I think at the end, particularly the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth, I think that's where Texas is really going to start putting it on them, and that lead will be extended. Give me Texas by at least 15.
The nightcap game.
Nightcap.
Tennessee, the Volunteers traveling to Columbus, Ohio, and bringing a lot of their fans to play the Ohio State Buckeyes, coming off a loss to Michigan 4 years in a row now. This game will be the nightcap. It should be around 20 degrees, 23 degrees around kickoff.
Cold.
Chances of snow as well in this one. Now, let me talk about this one for a second, because everybody's talking about how Tennessee is going to orange out the shoe.
Yes.
They're bringing a lot of their fans to this game. Their fans bought up a lot of tickets.
Yes.
It's supposed to be the most tickets that an opposing team has had in the shoe ever. Being here in Columbus, talking to fans that are going to the game, they're not letting this slide. They're very mad about this narrative, thinking, hold on, you guys think you can come into our shoe and take over our crowd, our stadium? That's not going to happen. Tennessee, let's talk about the game plan. Let's get away from the fans. Let's talk about the game plan. Tennessee is going to want to run the ball.
That's it.
They're going to want to run the ball.
That's
Dylan
their
Sampson,
identity.
Offensive Player of the Year in the SEC. They're going to want to run, no question about it. But I understand Ohio State gives up a lot in the run game sometimes. That hasn't been what's gashed them this season. Take away that Michigan loss, because if we're really looking at that Michigan loss, Ohio State's offense is the one that spotted Michigan basically 10 points.
Yes, absolutely.
They spotted them 10 points with an interception and a kick out of their own end zone that gave them pretty much field position. They could have kicked it on first down for the field goal. What gashed them is the pass game against Oregon.
Yes.
That's what really gashed them. Nico is a great quarterback, but at times we see inconsistencies. We see him miss on deep balls. Yes, Tennessee is going to run the ball. They might run the ball with success. But if you look at this Ohio State defense, what I believe is the best defense in the nation, I get it. They give up some yards on the run, but they're not giving up points. That's the part that nobody wants to talk about. This team is not giving up points. How many points did Penn State have? 13? How many points did Michigan have? 13? They're not giving up points. The only team that was able to put points on them was Oregon, really.
Yes.
And that's because they gashed them through the pass. Oregon's identity is the pass game. It's not the run game. The teams that identity is the run game hasn't been able to put up that many points against Ohio State. Flipping to the other side of the ball, this Tennessee defense is really good. We got to acknowledge that. This Tennessee defense is legit. I think they're going to get after the quarterback. I think they're going to take advantage of this beat-up Ohio State offensive line. I think Will Howard will be under a lot of pressure. But I think the difference between this Ohio State team and the team that played Michigan, there's no stronghold over them that Michigan had. Ohio State, when they played Michigan, what did they try and do? They tried to run the ball.
They tried to be tough guys.
Yeah, they went in with the narrative that, the team that won the rush battle the past 20 plus years has won the game, and they let it get in their head and they tried to run the ball. This Ohio State team won't do that. I'm not saying they're not going to run at all. They'll run, but they're going to be pass first in this game.
Got to be.
It's going to be a similar game plan to what you saw against Georgia a few years ago, and they're going to pass the ball specifically to the man that nobody could guard, Jeremiah Smith.
There you go.
I think Ohio State steps up in this moment, and I think they actually covered the spread. The spread's at 7.5. I think Ohio State wins by 14, goes on to face Oregon in the Rose Bowl. Another chance at revenge.
Bold prediction. I tell you, I wrestled with this one quite a bit throughout the week. I kept thinking about Tennessee's run game and what it really brings to the table. But, starting to analyze and really look over a bit of film on their run game, it actually showed me that it's not so much that Tennessee has this dominant offensive line. They just have a great running back, a guy who can shed tackles and just keep it moving up the field. So what does Ohio State do well in the run game? Well, they gang tackle, and they struggle with teams that do have more dominant offensive lines. But then when a team doesn't have that dominant offensive line, they do pretty well against the run in shutting it down. What happened to Tennessee when they faced the likes of Georgia? They weren't able to produce the same on offense as they were throughout the season. So they even struggled producing offensively against that Arkansas front.
Yeah.
So I think that Ohio State probably matches up a little bit better than might be thought of. When you're looking at our Ohio State's defensive line versus Tennessee's offensive line, I think there you might have more of a stalemate than we think. Actually, I say tilted in advantage Ohio State, but Ohio State has to deal with that Tennessee defensive front. I think what Ohio State learned against that Michigan team is that they cannot rely on that offensive line in the way that they were attempting to against Michigan. They're going to have to stick with the identity of who they know they really are, and that is more of a finesse ball club. They're going to have to stick with that finesse game and throw that ball around the field, get Jeremiah Smith involved early and often. And I think because they come in and they stick with that game plan, that will make the difference. However, it's not going to be an easy ball game. I look for Ohio State not to cover the spread, but win this game by about 4-5.
Well, that's our playoff predictions.
There it is.
For round one, which leaves us, we all had the same games. That leaves us with Texas, Arizona State in the Peach Bowl. That leaves us with Ohio State, Oregon in the Rose Bowl. Penn State, Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl. And Georgia, Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl.
You got it.
It'll be interesting. We have to wait and see. We'll see if our predictions line up. Who's right, who's wrong in terms of covering the spread and not covering the spread. But that's our predictions. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you after these first round games.